we'll dive straight into our presentation for the day. So why I asked this question is because some of you here are handling IT for your business, but I'd like the others who joined in today to close your eyes for a bit and imagine that you're being tasked to handle IT for an hour. You might think it's just for an hour, but I'd like you to experience how it feels really to run IT for a business. It can be a business of any size. So do you think of a person sitting before a system like this, probably with a coffee in hand? In some places, it's probably the days just starting, coffee in your hand, and you want to get about your task, and then ding, you get the first request on your support software. There's a password reset request. Your VP has been logged out, and again, so your VP has been logged out again, and it's a high priority incident. And before you try to look into that, there's another onboarding request. A new employee is joining, and you have to provision a laptop and few apps for the user to start working from day one. Before you could complete that, there's a provisioning request from the development team. So they want to add a new integration so that the feature will go live. So that is also a priority one. Then there's another password reset. So which do you attend to, right? Before you prioritize these four, there's another one where an employee has just left the organization, and you'll have to remove access to all the apps and resources that the employee had access to in a jiffy, because you don't want them to have access to your company information once they leave the organization, right? Another team is asking for a new app that they want to try out, and all this is just within an hour. I am just running quickly through the 1 hour in a minute, and then there's another password reset as well. So this is how it is for most of the IT admins. If you look at Reddit threads, there is a popular Reddit thread called rsysadmin. I think some of you might be on it. You'll see how tiring it has become, how managing IT has become. And this is just one aspect of managing IT in a business. So let's look at why this is the situation right now. And hopefully the solution that we propose would make life simpler for IT admins. Right. So, and this is not just the mental or a thought experiments that I wanted you guys to partake with me. It's also backed by research. So there are global institutions that are coming up with information and data points that reflect our experience right now. The experience that we like to call the infinite IT admin treadmill, where you're attending to 2 or 3 tasks, and then there are more tasks piled up on you, and it seems that you're on an infinite treadmill, and the tasks never seem to end. So yeah, the first data point is, of course, 40% of all service desk queries are related to passwords. This is from a Gartner research, right? You would see that even in the 1 hour, the 7 requests that we came, there were 3 requests related to passwords. Some of it was related to a privileged password incident. So most of the time of an IT employee goes into looking at credentials, passwords, password resets, giving credentials to new users, taking resetting, and all that. So, but from the customer point of view, you need to look at how many times a customer also spends in the password reset cycle. So the research source shows that every password reset cycle results in a productivity loss of close to $70. So this is not a direct number. So they calculate how much time it takes to reset a password, and then they assign some weightage as to how much of productivity is lost, and then they convert it into dollars. Well, this is not a direct thing, but I would like to impress upon you that a password reset is just never a password reset, right? Especially if you are having some kind of legacy software where the users and domains are linked at different places. If you have to reset it once, you'll have to reset it at different domains, like in the case of Microsoft Active Directory. So this is the first data point that we wanted to show. The next is that 58% of IT teams spend over 5 hours per week in repetitive tasks. Password is just one of the repetitive tasks, right? The other repetitive tasks could be like adding new users to your organization, assigning apps to users, provisioning users to apps, creating app accounts, providing devices, giving them devices that are properly authenticated, creating a password cycle for each of these users. So these are all repetitive tasks. And 58% of the time that an IT admin has in a week, as in 58% of IT teams feel that they spend a lot of time every week on repetitive tasks, which could be utilized more fruitfully. You'll see that the third data point, actually all these three data points are not working in isolation, right? It makes sense only when we look at them together. So the biggest number here is 90% of IT teams feels that manual and repetitive tasks lead to low morale and attrition. So it's because of there is a lot of password resets and there are a lot of repetitive tasks that go into the IT admin's daily work. There is a gradual loss of morale, and this ultimately results in attrition. You will see that you are not getting proper talent to handle your IT systems, and those who do stay back are seem to be stressed. So it doesn't really have to be this stressful. That is our primary contention, right? So how did managing IT become complex? We looked at an hour in the life of an IT admin, and then we looked at what are the three data points that we can substantiate as to why it's becoming complex. Let's go a little bit deeper and look at it from a business level, right? So in the last 14-15 years, most of the businesses now run on cloud. So there is a cloud app for every imaginable business function that your business has. So there is a finance app, there is an app to chat with your colleagues, there is an app to speak to your customers, there is an app for the customers to rate service tickets, there is an app for you to manage your documents. So there is an app for everything. With this, so earlier it wasn't like this. With this, a user can directly sign up for any kind of application and start using it from a business context. Earlier, the business context was more admin driven. Here, the admin's control has been diminished a little bit, where in the cloud age. Right? And the next one is that we talked a lot about the apps. We also need to talk about what comes with the apps, which is the credentials. So the number of apps will directly be proportional to the number of credentials that you are having, and leading to a very diminished login experience for our users. And imagine that they have to do this on a day in and day out basis. So this is why the login experience is broken. And with the increase in credentials, there is an increase in security threat as well. So there's a lot of passwords lying around, or it's not managed properly. And if it gets into the wrong hands, and with one credential breach, the hacker can then laterally move across departments and get to critical information. And that's how all the breaches are happening every day. So not only the login experience is broken, it's also not secure. Again, the point is that since there is an app for everything, these apps generally don't work together well, and there needs to be an administrator who is powerful enough to manage them and make them run in unison. This is at the user level, but at the admin level itself, right? For admins themselves have multiple apps to get their job done. Probably their password reset is done from one place, their devices are managed from one place, and MFA is probably, or security related things are done from one place. So it's not a unified system. So this is what we thought was the core of the problem, which the symptoms we are seeing as repetitive tasks, password resets, and then loss of morale. So these need to be simplified so that the IT admin can do their job better. So that's why we thought we should start with a series called Workforce Identity Simplified, scale with SSO, secure org-wide MFA, and streamline user access. And this is the first part of our series. And in today's webinar, we'll be covering single sign-on, user management, and multi-factor authentication. While these are answers to some of the problems that we mentioned earlier. So most of it comes under user management, assigning apps to users, making the right apps available for the employees at the right time, and then adding a layer of security to it so that there's a system in place for access management, and the IT admin need not have to be looking into it on a day in and day basis, and it's automated to an extent that the repetitive tasks are reduced. So that's today's agenda. So I think I took a little bit of time to get to the agenda. We also have a live demo, which I'll be starting in a little bit. But before that, if you have any questions. Okay, there's a question from. Yeah, so there are different flavors to Zoho Directory. Does ZD work as a standalone without Microsoft AD? Yes, in one context, you can use Zoho Directory as a single identity and access management provider for your business. But if you already have Microsoft AD, you can also sync it to that, and there is a user sync that's available. So yeah, there are multiple ways where you can use Zoho Directory. But primarily, we want to showcase the things that you can do with Zoho Directory as a individual IDP. Okay, just give me a moment. I've asked another question. Hello, I hope you're able to see the screen right now. We are here with Zoho Directory. Yeah, okay. So this will not be an in-depth directory hands-on session, but it will be only related to simplifying your workforce identity. It's more of a one-on-one where we looked at the problems and we've devised solutions to make it simpler for IT admins. The first one is bringing users from different sources into Zoho Directory. So that can be done simply by adding a user. You just have to fill up these fields, first name, last name, email address, and it's done. But it's okay if you have just one employee logging at a time. But most of the time, it's not the case, right? You're having a list of employees who are joining, or you maintain a CSV of employees. At least some of our customers tell us that they have a rolling list of a CSV of employees joining in. So we have an option to import an XLS or a CSV. So I created a CSV for this with sample data. You just need to upload it here. So there's a attribute mapper that just throws up once you upload the XLS or CSV file, and you need to check whether these attributes are mapping to the new users that you have created. So you'll see one that is already there, which is John Doe is there, and Jane Smith is the new one that's been added. You need to see whether these map. If you need to make changes, you can do it here. Okay, I don't need to make any changes, so I'm going to the next one. Okay, so there are total number of users are 19 in the sheet, but 15 users already exist. So this is often the case where I say there is just one Excel sheet. You don't need to create multiple Excel sheets or spreadsheets to maintain your users. You just need to add the new users. So the 4 new users will only be added if I continue to import. If I need to overwrite, then all the 19 users will be added. But if you have done some kind of assignment, all those would be lost. So it's better to just add the new users. So I'm continuing to import users here. I hope my screen is visible. Just let me know if I'm not visible or audible at any point of time. Yeah, so 4 out of 19 users have been added. You will see that Deppy and Emily Davis, Emily Brown have been added recently, and Knox has been added recently. So these are some of our users that have been added. So this is, it might seem very simplistic from the point of view of a demo, but our customers are having like 200 users, 500 users, and most of them use this feature a lot. But we still feel that it's not known to many of those who are trying out Zoho Directory. So we thought we'll showcase that. So now we have brought in users from your spreadsheets. You can add it manually, or you can also import bulk. You can also do bulk import. Now you can also group them. And in Zoho Directory, it's very simple to create groups. You can see in this demo instance, we have created department-wise groups. So that is one way to group your employees. And then there's another collaboration group where you can add employees across their functions if they're working for some kind of a special project. So I'll just show you how you can create a group here. So I'm going to create a user education group. So this is basically a team which will be doing the help documents and internal education. So that is the group I'm going to create now. So those are the users that I'm actually adding. So the 4 users are part of this group. We will add James as a moderator. I will add Emily Clark and David Wilson. Okay. Okay. Right. So now a group has been created with a member and a moderator. The next thing that you can do is conditional assignment. We told you that a lot of time the repetitive tasks are about assigning the same application to different users. So now once you have grouped them and you have done conditional assignment, you just need to assign the app to the group, and then those new users who are added to the group automatically will be assigned the application. So that again takes away a lot of your tickets on a daily basis. So now for the user education team, I'm adding a Dropbox. And I'm adding Slack. Okay, so conditional assignment is done for this group. So just a moment. Yeah. So you'll see another tab that is the security policies tab. So once you create a group, by default, a security policy will be assigned to the group. The default policy, mostly it will be the default policy that will be assigned to the group. So let's look at, so now we have seen users who are brought in and then how groups are created. Let's look at quickly about what the security policy that will govern this group. Security policy itself is a separate module which needs an in-depth session, so I'll not go into that, but I'll just tell you that there is a default policy, it's assigned to every group, but then you can create a group level policy. So I'm going to create a user education security policy, which is only for members of this group. So you can exclude users from this policy, and also you can assign priority for the policy. Mostly we go with the default policy as the priority policy. Okay, so now there is a password policy that is created. Okay. So we looked at how passwords take up most of IT team's day. If you have configured a strong password policy, that can be avoided. So how the password policy has been designed in Zoho Directory is based on these three. So these three flavors you can say are these three controls. So you can have a strong password policy, and it has a minimum length of 14 special characters, numeric digits, password age. I'll get into each of these, but the strong policy will have higher numbers, and then good and fair. So you'll see the severity reduce as you go below the password strength naturally. So, but you can also do a custom policy based on your requirement. You can have a number of length, the password length. You can make it mixed or not characters, how many special characters, what is the maximum password age. So you can have this as 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, 90 days. So only after 90 days that an IT admin will trigger a password reset. So you don't have to deal with password reset requests in the interim, unless of course the user has forgotten their password or something else has happened. Otherwise, you don't need to reset password for 90 days. You can also have it shorter or longer based on your requirement. Refusal of previously used passwords. So employees tend to use previous passwords with again and again. So that also you can restrict for security. All this can be configured in our password policy. By doing this itself, you can minimize the number of IT tickets related to passwords. And next we have the multi-factor authentication. We talked about a lot of credentials that a user needs to have in an organization, but if you can configure multi-factor authentication, so you can configure a multi-factor authentication at the org level and also to the group that you have created. So let's look into that. So Zoho offers multiple options for multi-factor authentication for the IT admin. So you can use authenticator apps such as Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator by using this checkbox. If you have security key, you can also use YubiKey. In this instance, we are having an SMS-based OTP, but Zoho actively advises against using SMS-based OTP because those are prone to easier breaches because of SIM swapping and SMS spoofing kind of attacks that are prevalent today. So another thing that Zoho Directory comes with is Zoho OneAuth, which is our own authenticator. Again, it's a free authenticator, and we are not enforcing everyone who has a Zoho account to use Zoho OneAuth. But if you do try it out, it's one of the most highest rated apps on Android and in the Apple Store. You will see that it is perfect for a Zoho account. So now that every one of you here have a Zoho account, it is best designed to protect a Zoho account, and it offers multiple options as well. Like it has passwordless sign-in, Face ID, and Touch ID. There are smart sign-in options as well. So based on your requirement, you can select multi-factor authentication as well. And the multi-factor authentication lifetime also can be configured, again, like passwords, and backup and recovery can also be enabled for easy recovery. So now what we have done is that we have brought users, we have created a group called user education. We have added users to that group, and we have also assigned them applications. Now in the midst of this demo itself, so there is a request for me to add a user called Knox because he wants an access to a blogging application. So how do I do that? Okay, so in the applications tab, let's just look at the applications tab for a bit. Zoho has more than 500 applications out of the box for single sign-on. And if you are creating apps for your organization, like custom apps, those two can be added. So if you go to add application, you will see the list of applications that we have. Okay. So if you have created a custom app, you can add it here. The only rider is that the SSO mode that your custom app should support must include SAML and OIDC. Those are the modern protocols for SSO. So let's come to SSO a little bit later. We'll just show you that adding an application. So login is the application that the user needs to be added to. Just a moment. Yeah. So login is this internal blogging tool that user education teams typically need. So that's the provisioning that we are going to do today. So you just need to enter your company name, which is the Zilker is the name of this demo instance that we have created. just need to give that, and then you need to add it to your application so that that app is now part of Zoho Directory. Okay, so now let's go to our groups and assign okay, so Knox needs to be added, and Knox has been added to this group, right? So now if we configure SSO, once Knox logs in, he will have access to the two apps that we added before, which is Dropbox and Slack, along with Blogin, and he just needs to use the same credential. Okay. So let's just see if single sign-on can be configured. Just give me a moment. If you have any questions till now, I will take them. I hope the admin panel is visible again. Okay. So we were talking about SSO, right? SSO is what will help you reduce your user and app assignment tickets. So there are multiple applications, and multiple applications are being assigned to users, and they don't need to log in to each of these applications individually. They just need one set of credentials, which is the Zoho account credentials, and then they can log into their third-party application, Zoho application, or custom application. What are the applications that you have created? So that's what we want to try out. So let's just try to set up SSO for Blogin. I'll just go to Blogin, which has been added here. Okay. So no members have been assigned. I'll go to single sign-on. So the single sign-on tab in Zoho Directory is split between the identity provider details and the service provider details. The identity provider details are the details that Zoho Directory gives, and which we have to give it to Blogin as an application, which is the service provider. So as an IT admin, I have created an account on Blogin, and in the settings tab, I need to go to user authentication, where I'll come to single sign-on. So I need to click on enable single sign-on. Again, this is a very service dependent step. So if you're doing it for Dropbox or Slack, the steps might slightly differ, but from Zoho Directory, the steps will remain the same. Saving changes. Okay, so now single sign-on has been added. There are multiple configuration methods against this service dependent. I'm adding the metadata file. If you go to Zoho Directories admin panel, we have the download IDP metadata. It's added, and sorry. Okay, so now I have uploaded the metadata file. So half of the handshake has happened. Okay, so this is the identity provider configuration data, manual configuration. You'll see that all of these have been already filled from Blogin side. What we need to do is just go to service provider details in Zoho Directory. You'll see that the company name is Zoho Directory, sign out URL, assertion consumer service URL, and issuer have also been filled in here using the company name. You just need to verify if these are the same in Blogin to ensure a safe handshake. So I see that zoho-directory.blogin.co/sso/saml/callback is here in the ACS URL. It's the same here. The dollar company denotes Zoho Directory. So you don't need to really do anything apart from adding the metadata IDP. Of course, you'll have to save the changes. Now SSO has been configured, and Instead of adding login to Knox, who is our new joinee to the user education group, I'll just go to groups, user education, and assign login from here. Okay, so you'll see that in the group it's assigned. From an admin point of view, all this assignment is done, but usually when the user tries to log in, that is where the handshake could fail. So I'll try to show you from a user perspective as well. I've created a user login for Knox. Right. So if you see that this is the user login, my apps, Dropbox and Slack has been provisioned. And if SSO goes through, there's some issue. Login should appear here. I'll just check on what went wrong. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes that happens, but yeah, now we see that login is also part of the user home for the user. Now these three apps have been assigned to him, and SSO has been enabled for login. Let's just see if the login works. Yeah, it does. Similarly, you can configure for all the applications in the group. In the interest of time, and because of the fact that Dropbox and Slack have a premium tier to implement their SSO, we are not able to immediately show it, but the steps are pretty much the same. You saw that this is how the user will log in. So this is the screen that they will see if they're logging in from directory. They have all the apps that they need to access. They just need to click on the app. There is no username or login or any such business. It's just the Zoho account that's doing the job for them. So let's just come back to the admin home. So apps have been assigned, groups have been created, MFA has been configured. So the first step of what we wanted to achieve to simplify the repetitive tickets, to reduce them to the extent possible, has been done from Zoho Directory, which was the intention of our webinar Zoho Directory Simplified. Okay, so if you have any further questions or questions till now, I will take them right now. I hope I was not talking to myself. Were you guys able to follow? If you want to speak, also there is an option that you can raise your hand and I can allow you to speak. Okay, there's a question. The setting up application allow or deny in ZD is only for SSO, or this we can allow or stop a user from using this application on their computer like Chrome or Word. Okay. So from what I understand, thank you for the question, Philip. So from what I understand it, this is you don't want to have employees access a certain app. Is that right? If that is the question, right now it cannot be done, but you can enforce policy that applications which are now part of Zoho Directory are the only approved applications for your organization. So your employees will be assigned only those applications. But with respect to browser level control, we are not there yet. So yeah, so this is simplifying workforce identity 1, but we have a lot more coming in the months to come. So what we covered in Zoho Directory is just the first set of protocols, but we have a lot more with respect to user access management, which is provisioning, where you just need to create one user profile and then you can extend it to all the apps in your organization. That again reduces a lot of work for your IT admins. And then there's device authentication for Windows, Mac, and Linux devices, so that your employees can use the same credentials that they use for their apps for their devices as well. And I hinted upon what the security module in Zoho Directory is, but there's a lot more to it. So we have conditional access, routing policies, IP session management, web session management, and a lot more, which will warrant its own session. So we're just putting it out there that there are more sessions coming your way, and please do sign up and so that you can also try out these features in your organization. All right, so we left our IT admin here, and I hope on seeing the demo, we come back to a more calmer state where the IT admin is able to do their tasks without being stuck into the infinite IT treadmill. And that was the intention. There were some technical snags in the middle, and thank you for being a patient audience. I am Anirudh from the Zoho Directory marketing team, and with me are Evangeline and Samyukta. We are from the marketing team, and then we also have Karthik from the pre-sales and solutioning team representing Zoho Directory today. Thank you all for joining. You can find us on LinkedIn at Zoho Directory and on Access Zoho Directory again. If you have any queries, you can mail to presales@zohodirectory.com. I suppose some of you are using the product here and some of you are paid users. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you have questions that we can solve, or if you have aspects of workforce identity that you want us to cover, we'll be able to do it as well. So please keep the communication going. I'll have another last round of questions before we close. Yeah, so we are coming up with in-person and remote training. So Melvin, thank you for asking that question. Preetika, who's part of our team, is working on that. There are in-person and virtual trainings being planned, but we also have extensive help documents that our team has in the resources section that you can go through. And if you want a deep dive of the product of what Zoho Directory can do for your organization as an IDP, there is an entire session that's also there in the resources section. Okay, so we're taking more questions. If you have more questions, please do use the Q&A. You can also actually speak up by raising your hands, where I can give you voice access. If you'd like to speak to us, that is also possible. There is a raise hand option in Zoho webinar that you can do. Okay, there's another question. Will this help Philip Thomas again, will this help users log into the computer just after the system is rebooted? If yes, does it need a client to be installed? Yeah. Okay, I think you're referring to the device authentication. Yes, it will help users log into the computer with the same credentials as their applications. Yes, from the admin side, a client needs to be installed. And we are coming up with a dedicated webinar for device authentication, and that would be covered in that. Any questions on multi-factor authentication? And if you are using MFA, is it working for you? Which mode of MFA are you using? We'd like to know, or we'd like to understand how MFA is also handled in your organization. It will help us immensely. So I think if there are no more questions, we can close today's session. It's more than an hour. Thank you for spending your valuable Friday pre-lunch session. If you have any comments on how the webinar was presented, you can also give it in the Q&A, or you can also mail us in the same email ID that I told you, which is presales@zohodirectory.com. This is an email ID. It's a catch-all. We will read every mail here, so that's why we're sending this email. Okay, thank you all. I think we can close the session. Stay tuned for more from Zoho Directory. I'll close the session now.